So you said earlier that that you're a you get emotional thinking about or in a couple parts of the documentary, and you are a guy that wears your heart on your sleeve.
Yeah, I heard I'm getting bullied by your friends for crying on the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if you.
No, that's fine. I have no shame.
Whenever you meet Blake and George, which you will eventually meet them, you'll understand.
Yeah.
They're assholes. They're great, but they're assholes.
No.
And
the thing I thought of this earlier, but it's relevant to this. But that episode where I talk about competing.
Yeah.
I knew you liked our show after that episode because you tweeted about our show.
Oh, it's like the best. It was like the best episode I've ever seen.
You said this is the best podcast in gaming after you'd watched that episode.
It was because I'm I only listen to the show. I don't ever watch it because I mean I drove you here and it's like 30 minutes drive.
That's what
30
I do. If I listen because I listen to most episodes back, I just listen.
Yeah,
and I don't watch it.
And so I'm listening, and I didn't. I wasn't even familiar really with you guys' faces at the time.
Yeah.
I could just, I was just listening like it's a radio show. And I can, you guys are talking about how Nick's in a cape and he's wearing a crown and they're all talking about it. And then you hear your voice start to quiver. And I'm like, what? This guy's he's not about to cry right now, is he? And then you do, and you're talking about how like there was, to set the scene for anybody that doesn't know, there was a company-wide Melee tournament, and you guys all trained for it, to compete for it, in a side event at a major.
Yep. Yeah, at Genesis.
Yeah, Genesis, which is like COD champs, basically, if anybody's listening from Call of Duty. And so it's as if like TST, the Nuke Squad, and a couple other like content teams, or even like within the office here, we all set up 1v1s and we trained hard for it. And it's just on the surface level, it just seems like a fun thing that everyone's doing.
Yeah.
But you wanted to win, and you took it extremely serious.
Yes.
And then when you didn't win, it hit.
Yeah, absolutely.
And dude, I've never related to something more in my life. I've just been like, and your voice started quivering, and I'm like, oh my God, Slime and Ludwig are about to lay into him. That was what my thought was.
Yeah.
Because Blake and George, that's what Blake and George would do to me.
Yeah.
And I remember telling them about it, like, dude, you gotta see this part of the podcast. It's incredible. Like it's such a different dynamic of like friendship than what we have. And so I go to show them. And I can only bring up the video. And the video, as you start to tear up.
That's so funny.
As you start to tear up, fucking, what's the name
Subway
of the game?
Surfers.
Subway Surfers. Yeah. Can you look up that part of the pod? I don't know. Do you know what episode? I can't even remember.
Man. If honestly, it might come up if you just search The Yard Aiden Cries. It might just come up.
And then Subway Surfers pans over, and as you're getting emotional, there's a Subway Surfers like.
Yeah, we talked about adding that in after. I thought it would be funny.
Oh, okay, so you were point on that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't mind that at all.
It's so good.
It's this clip. Yeah.
It is this clip.
But yeah, it's like when I start to explain myself later.
Like just hover over the top. That is so. And as he's talking right now, like his voice is like quivering, talking about how you're talking about how like you trained really hard and this is what you really wanted to do, and it's not that, you're not sad that you lost. You're just sad that or whatever. You're like talking about all of your emotions. And Nick is in a case. Nick is in a case, and it's so good. It like this is like when I was like, okay, the Yard's special, because it's not just four guys that are laying into each other all the time and bantering all the time. You guys are genuine friends.
I think when we need to have a hard conversation or be vulnerable, we're there for each other. Yeah. I think the constant like berating and like making fun of each other and like riffing, that's obviously like a huge part of it. That's like the core of like not only the show but also a part of like being friends. But I think in that instance, like I had no fear of them really like making fun of me in that moment. Really? I knew
I would never in a million years
ever
open up to Blake and George ever.
I mean, that's, you know, sometimes that's just not the case with certain people. That's totally fine. I do, but I was really, not that I was super, I wasn't worried or like ashamed that I cried. It was like, it was a real emotion. I think there's still big parts of the emotion that I felt at the time that are like present now, but I don't, I was worried because it was such a tonal shift of the show. So like if someone is listening, my little fear was like, if people listen to this and it's just like not what they want or like what they expect from the show, which is typically like friendship and funny and like
goofy,
and goofy. But that is the most positive feedback I've gotten to anything I've been involved in the show. The amount of people who like pretty much every comment is about people dealing with what I'm talking about, talking about like competing in sports in school or something or some artistry that they practice. Everybody has like a version of this if they competed in like anything. If they had any sort of competitive facet in their life, there was like a connection to what I was talking about, I think. And that made me feel a lot better. I also definitely the most personal messages I've gotten from friends about the show after that episode.
From that moment.
Yeah, because there's like a handful. You know, not every personal friend of ours listens to our podcast. Totally understandable. But there are a lot of people that do. And I think there's also a lot of friends that listen that we don't even know that they listen. They just like...
They just like it, yeah.
Yeah, they just like it and they just don't bring it up with us, and that's totally fine. But the amount of like DMs I got from friends that I like hadn't talked to in a while after that episode made me feel really good. I was really happy that I shared that in that, because I didn't have any fear about sharing with my friends, just sharing over that medium to the audience. And to see the degree of like positive feedback I got was like crazy to me.
Oh yeah.
And
I mean people probably relate. Actually, definitely. It's not probably. People relate more to what you're talking about there than they do to a Kobe Bryant speech talking about losing or a Kobe Bryant speech talking about winning.
Yeah.
Because that's a stake that's unbelievable.
Yes.
You have to train your entire life, dedicate everything to get to this championship, to win the biggest championship in the world. And then if you fall short, that's got to be a different level of heartbreak. You're talking about you're talking about competing against your friends.
Yeah.
And competing, really driving yourself to be where you think you can be.
It's a very like personal but simple dynamic.
Yeah.
And and that's what it boiled down to. It was like this expectation of like, I think like this feeling of others not believing me in that context.
Yeah.
Of me feeling like I believe in myself. That's all I need.
Yeah.
And then letting myself down. And then also doing it against this like friend I feel like I'm always measuring myself against and like trying to catch up because he's so good at everything. And that's what it feels like.
Who is this?
This is Nick.
Nick, okay.
Because Nick is really good at a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And like being unable to keep up with Nick at the same thing, at the things that we share and that we compete in like mutually.
Yeah.
Is hard because I think he just learns and he gets better at things faster. Like he's like really creative. He's really funny. Or like we both played Valorant. He got like a lot better at Valorant faster.
Yeah.
And these games that just didn't click as like fast for me. And it was just it was a really big moment. It was a really big moment for me. I think the way I would describe it is like it's not because and I think you probably understand this by like listening to the whole segment.
Yeah.
Is like it's not that it's not about the company tournament. It's not even about like winning. It's not about winning. I don't care if I'm the best at the Mogul Moves company tournament.
Right.
It's about the test and the moment and like collapsing and like failing in that moment that you've practiced and like built up towards so much.
Yeah.
I think the reverse of this actually is I'm practicing and playing Melee like a lot right now. That's like my main like competitive output at the moment. And it's been more or less my main one for like a long time with like some breaks intermingled.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of people, that might be fucking running or lifting or theater, and like Troy Bolton when he's grinding his theater and
basketball
and basketball. He wants to be the best at both. But that's so many people in school, in college, in life, in their career. They're trying to chase and be the best at their craft, and like and for me at the moment, I feel like my main way of doing that is like competing in Melee. And I've been working on a lot of stuff. I've been like practicing like way more than I usually do, and I'm getting a lot better, which has been really nice. And I've been like working with a coach. And
you've been coached in Melee?
Yeah.
Oh,
it's dope. It's really, really fun, and I'm having a great time.